Coming up on Wavelength, the Abilene Boys hit the beach in Matagorda. LCRA uses space-age technology on Lake Buchanan, and the new backup control center goes online. Those stories and more are next on Wavelength.
From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everybody and welcome to Wavelength. Well, the Abilene Boys, James Pickard and Winfield James, ended their 28-day, 660-mile journey down the Colorado this July. This trip attracted tremendous media coverage and lots of memories, both for them and for the people who live along the river. Pat Freese recaps their historic journey.
The Abilene Boys made their first trip down the river in 1937.
I think we were three young guys just out of college who, if we hung around Abilene the rest of the summer, we'd have to go to work.
54 years later, they decided to try it again.
It's sort of a sense of adventure. I don't think there are a lot of adventures left in the world, and it's always something new around the next bend. We find this is a beautiful river. The parts we've seen some of them are absolutely magnificent.
The river, as well as the men, have changed over the years. Buchanan Dam had just been built and the lake was filling up on their first trip. This time, there were a number of dams which had to be dealt with. After passing through Buchanan and then portaging around Inks and Wirtz dams, they pulled into Starkey Dam, where hydro crews gave Prudence, their canoe, quite a lift.
Oh, that was perhaps the most exciting portage around dams that we had. Out of the 14-odd portages, that one was really exciting. And as we watched, they simply lifted the canoe straight up by the winch on this big truck up at the top, up the 40 feet, swung the truck around, dropped the canoe down the other side of the dam, some 80 feet.
Once below Mansfield Dam, the pair marveled at the development along Lake Austin. And as they passed through downtown Austin, there were banners hanging from street bridges and a small army of news media to greet them. Local musician Bill Oliver, along with the Colorado River Watch Network singers, made their own special greeting.
Tip your hat to the Abilene Boys!
Yeah! With a swift current, the adventurers made good time, covering some 30 miles a day. After a warm welcome in Bastrop and Smithville, the Abilene Boys reached LaGrange.
Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of LaGrange that the work of Winfield James, James Pickard, and Harry Caldwell be saluted and that their efforts be fully and completely recognized. Signed by Don Cabana.
As word spread, people hung signs and offered food and shelter.
I hope you guys are stopping because we got lunch for you.
Yeah. Everywhere they went, Pickard and James would ask people to focus less attention on them and more on the river.
Are you surprised at how much attention there is?
Yes, very much surprised. But if it's that important, I'm happy because it's focusing on the river and the need to keep working on the river to clean it up some more.
On Monday, July 8th, as Jim Pickard and Winfield James paddled the last 3 miles to the Gulf of Mexico, they were surrounded by reporters and photographers who recorded every stroke. And on July 8th, the Abilene Boys reached Matagorda Beach.
Today, I think what we see through your trip is not our role as conquerors, but rather our role as custodians, and whether or not we really can do the far more important work of taking care of this river that you just so gloriously paddle down. And for that, we thank you, and we shall always remember this day and your trip and the great contribution. Although you may have thought it was small when you started, it really has turned out for us at LCRA to be a great contribution to the future of this river. With every dip of your oar, you helped chart a new direction for the future of this river, and we thank you.
After receiving a slew of gifts, the Abilene Boys themselves had something to give.
A lot of people have been very generous and offered to take the canoe for their town museum, including Bay City. And we've wrestled with this problem for a couple of nights, and we've decided that if we gave it to LCRA, more people might have a chance to enjoy it and get what benefit we may be able to be derived from our trip. So we would like to present this canoe to Lower Colorado River Authority. And I've got this paddle here, which is just a symbol of this donation, and I'd like to present this to Mark Rose and ask him please to take better care of this canoe than we did.
Prudence will be used by the Riverwatch Network and other LCRA departments to help promote water quality on the river. Once again, we tip our hats to the Abilene Boys.
In a recent survey conducted by the Human Resources Department, a significant number of employees requested additional training in basic reading and math skills. As a result, LCRA has revised its Educational Assistance Program to cover any employee who needs help.
But what we want to do is, as part of the Educational Assistance Program, offer them 100% coverage of any expenses they incur related to, basic reading, literacy type of issues. We've got someone now in LCRA that's taking advantage and using a tutor to help him learn how to read and or enhance his reading skills. And we are paying for that 100%, and we'd like to do that for anyone.
McClary adds that all requests will be kept strictly confidential.
LCRA Employees United Charities is now 1 year old, and it's been a very successful year. 53% of the workforce now contribute to the organization, and over $91,000 have been donated to 100 different charities all across the LCRA service area.
The most important thing to remember is together we can really make a difference in the community. When we say we give 70% of 1 hour's salary, that may be $7, $10, $12 a month, and that doesn't sound like a lot for one person. But when we pool those resources together, we can make a bigger difference and a bigger impact on our communities where we live and we raise our children.
The goal of this current membership drive is to go over the 1,000 member mark. If you would like to sign up, contact your local representative or call Beverly Seffel at 473-3302.
Its quiet is smooth and pollution-free. It's LCRA's new electric van. The G-Van is a full-size GMC passenger van capable of 55 miles per hour with a range of 60 miles per charge. LCRA will demonstrate the van throughout the service area as part of a major nationwide effort to promote the use of electric vehicles to reduce air pollution.
If you've been on Lake Buchanan this summer, you may have seen this boat and wondered what it was up to. LCRA's field engineering staff is using the boat to make a hydrographic survey or a contour map of the lake bottom. The boat is leased from a Houston company set up specifically for this kind of work. Data is transmitted to the boat from this shore station, which has known coordinates. At the same time, GPS navigational satellites in Earth orbit are used to calculate the position of the boat on the lake surface. An echo sounder then measures the depth of the water at any given point.
We've got it all set up so that for every 100 feet we move, it takes a shot, gives us our X, Y, and Z position and depth.
If you take about 25,000 of these points logged into a computer file, you have all the data necessary for a detailed map of the bottom. LCRA had originally asked the Bureau of Reclamation to do the survey.
It was quite cost prohibitive. We recommended that we try to use the new technology, the GPS, but they weren't interested in doing that. They wanted to stay with their tried and proven method. So we wound up saying, well, basically we're just going to do it ourselves. And we worked toward that since last November and putting this together, and it's worked fabulous. It's exceeded our expectations.
This survey information can be used to measure very accurately the capacity of the lake and also to determine how much sedimentation is filling in the lake bed. Jellison says surveys may be done on other Highland lakes in the future.
Summer is the busy season for LCRA's 2 irrigation districts. Since late March, both the Lakeside and Gulf Coast offices have been working around the clock.
First thing in the morning, usually an alarm clock doesn't wake you up. It's a rice farmer calling you on the telephone anywhere from 5 to 5:30 in the morning, wanting his water changed or wanting to stop his water.
Cody Breeding is one of 7 water bosses whose job it is to ensure that water is delivered on time.
Mostly is the importance of delivering water to the farmers when they need it, be able to take it off, and knowing that that rice is their livelihood, just same as delivering this water as ours.
In any given day, a water boss will drive roughly 300 miles over dusty roads, burn 20 gallons of gasoline, and get less than 7 hours of sleep. And aside from a dependable truck, the best tool he carries is, you guessed it, a cellular phone.
Hello, Bill. Yeah, this is Al. How are you looking this morning?
Yeah, the communication over there is so great. We used to have to go to town and call them or hunt them down, or they'd have to meet us once a day, and now we can call and be here, you know, at the problem or whatever it is. Yeah. That works.
So you can bug them all the time now, right?
That's right, and it saves lots of gas.
The Gulf Coast and Lakeside districts have a total of 650 miles of canals. Together, they provide water for 52,000 acres of rice.
Well, it's important, you know. Their livelihood depends on the water getting out there and watering their rice. If it didn't, they'd lose their crops. A lot depends on it for the rice farmer.
Between now and the end of the irrigation season, the districts will operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For the crews, that means long days and no vacations.
And the most gratifying thing might be?
The end of pumping season. That'd be the end of it. The end of pumping season is about the best thing we got to look forward to.
This is LCRA's System Operations Control Center, or SOC. From here, all aspects of the electrical generation and distribution system are monitored and controlled. There are backup systems here, of course, but what would happen if this facility was damaged or had to be evacuated?
Backup Control Center, it's William speaking.
The answer, move here to the Backup Control Center, or BUC as it is called. This brand new facility located in Caldwell County has the capability to perform all of the communication, monitoring, and control functions of the SOC.
There's no direct connection between the SOC and the BUC. The microwave system is the commonality, but it's total access from both sites, and it's complete redundancy on that part. So there's no dependency on the SOC being there for the BUC to operate.
System operators spend time each week familiarizing themselves with the new facility. All of the design work, engineering, construction, and even computer programming was done in-house by LCRA departments, which kept the cost of the facility way down.
It's working great. We come down weekly for testing, and there's ongoing training with the operators every week, which we're involved with, and now it's pretty much a maintenance system for us, so it's another system to maintain.
Several other utilities in Texas are already looking at the BUC as a model for their own backup systems.
That's it for this edition of Wavelength. We'll see you next time.